his own personal insecurity. So both of them are not their best selves in that moment.
I don't know, what am I going to do?
If people don't tell you everything, they have something sinister to hide, dishonest or doing nefarious things. But I think we all have things, big and small, that we want to hide from people because perhaps we're in process of dealing with them ourselves.
Cate Blanchett has always been known as one of the most composed, classy, and unshakable figures in Hollywood. But when news broke that she had finally snapped and exposed the relentless harassment she faced from none other than Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, the entire industry was left stunned. For years, Blanchett had maintained her silence, preserving her dignity while dealing with subtle and not-so-subtle attacks behind the scenes. However, recent events have pushed her past the breaking point, and now she's pulling back the curtain on one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets. The saga reportedly began when Blanchett was working closely with Chanel, a brand she had been representing for over a decade. Blanchett wasn't just a face for the brand, she embodied the sophistication and timeless elegance that Chanel stood for. Everything was set for her next major campaign, a heartfelt cinematic piece written by her husband, Andrew Upton. The short film was a tribute to the beauty of silent expression, pure storytelling through body language and emotion. Contracts were signed, shoots were scheduled, and Cate was prepared to continue her celebrated collaboration with Chanel. Then, out of nowhere, Blake Lively appeared on the scene. She wasn't part of the original plan, she wasn't even in the conversation. Yet somehow, she became the face of the campaign. Blanchett and her team were blindsided by an abrupt announcement from Chanel that the direction had changed, an industry euphemism that meant Blanchett had been pushed out. Without warning, Blanchett's heartfelt project was shelved, and Blake Lively's flashier, more commercially appealing version took its place. Insiders revealed that Blake's team had struck a last-minute cross-platform deal with Chanel that executives simply couldn't refuse. It wasn't about loyalty, legacy, or respect. It was about who could make Chanel trend on social media and appeal to younger audiences. And to make matters worse, Blake's team didn't even bother crafting a new vision. They simply glittered up Blanchett's original concept, injected some cliched motivational slogans, and painted over the true artistry that Blanchett had spent months developing. Despite the humiliation, Blanchett maintained her professionalism. She showed up at Chanel's private dinner in Paris, an event she had RSVP'd to months in advance. That night was supposed to celebrate her work, but instead, Blake was announced as the brand's new honoree. To add insult to injury, Blanchett was forced to sit through a dinner where Blake openly mocked the original script written by Blanchett's husband. Blake allegedly called the script beautiful but outdated, and laughed along with senior Chanel creatives, completely disregarding Blanchett's presence just feet away. Blanchett didn't lash out or cause a scene that night, but those closest to her could see the pain she tried to mask. Yet the betrayal didn't end there. Chanel's PR team made a critical error when they accidentally published an old feature article in a British fashion magazine that heavily referenced Blanchett's involvement in the campaign. The article, meant to be buried, stayed live just long enough for fans to catch wind of what had really gone down. Screenshots flooded social media, and public opinion quickly turned against Blake. While Blanchett kept her public response measured, she didn't hold back during a low-profile acceptance speech in Berlin. Without naming names, she delivered a cutting statement about the difference between honoring a story and stealing it for ego. It was a clear shot at Blake, and the message resonated deeply with fans who felt that Blanchett had been deeply wronged. Meanwhile, Blake's carefully polished public image began to crumble. Her team scrambled to contain the damage, but the backlash was relentless. Scheduled press appearances were quietly canceled. Leaked footage suggested that one canceled interview was meant to confront Blake directly about the controversy. Rather than risk more fallout, her team pulled the plug. But as the internet dug deeper, it became clear that Blanchett's experience wasn't an isolated case. Allegations about Blake's behind-the-scenes behavior started surfacing. On the set of Gossip Girl, Blake allegedly made life difficult for her co-stars, particularly Leighton Meester. An old interview resurfaced where Blake made uncomfortable jokes about Leighton being born in prison and compared co-stars to monkeys in a cage. The body language during the interview was telling. The jokes weren't well received. Insiders from Gossip Girl's production later revealed that Blake often made herself the center of attention, sometimes at the expense of others. Actor Armie Hammer, who briefly appeared on the show, described his time working with Blake as a nightmare. He hinted at diva behavior and claimed the experience was so toxic that he had to be removed from the set. Adding more fuel to the fire were rumors that Blake had a habit of turning cast and crew members against anyone she didn't like. It was alleged that she made it difficult for Penn Badgley to fit in on the set by spreading negative impressions about him from day one. Over time, the cast warmed up to Penn and realized he wasn't the difficult person Blake had painted him to be. Most recently, director Justin Baldoni came forward with claims that Blake had tried to push him out of his role directing a project they were working on. According to reports, Blake allegedly attempted to rewrite scenes, undermine Baldoni's creative decisions, and lobby behind his back to take over as director. The situation escalated when rumors circulated that Blake had even threatened to leverage her powerful Hollywood connections, including her close relationship with Taylor Swift and her marriage to Ryan Reynolds, to force Baldoni out. This alleged pattern of behavior paints a picture of Blake Lively very different from the bubbly, approachable image she projects publicly. And with Cate Blanchett finally shedding light on her own experience, the conversation around Blake and Ryan's behind-the-scenes influence is intensifying. As for Ryan Reynolds, sources suggest he wasn't just a bystander. Allegedly, he fully backed Blake's moves and used his own considerable industry clout to bolster her position. Together, the two formed a powerhouse couple who many felt were untouchable, able to manipulate situations to their advantage without facing consequences. But Cate Blanchett's resilience and grace have proven stronger than any calculated Hollywood scheme. Rather than wallow in defeat, Blanchett moved on, premiering a new theater project in Sydney with her husband. The play's original title, Lines That Weren't Meant to Be Read, was eventually changed to The Credit, a subtle but unmistakable jab at the way Blake tried to erase her contributions without giving her due recognition. Through it all, Blanchett maintained her dignity. She didn't engage in public feuds. She didn't descend into pettiness. Instead, she let her work speak for itself, demonstrating that true legacy is built on authenticity, talent, and resilience, not on clout chasing or corporate manipulation. The fallout from this situation may be far from over. Blake Lively's reputation has taken a significant hit, and questions about her behavior behind closed doors continue to swirl. Ryan Reynolds, by extension, has also faced growing scrutiny, as fans and insiders alike wonder just how deep his involvement runs. Cate Blanchett's willingness to quietly but firmly expose what she endured sends a powerful message to the industry. It's a reminder that power plays and manufactured images can only go so far. At the end of the day, true respect is earned, not seized. As Hollywood grapples with the revelations, many are left wondering, will this finally mark the end of Blake and Ryan's unchecked reign? Or will the cycle continue, hidden behind a facade of charm and Instagram-perfect family photos? Whatever happens next, one thing is clear. Cate Blanchett's voice has cracked the perfect image, and there's no going back. Cate Blanchett's story is a testament to the strength it takes to stand tall in the face of betrayal, harassment, and manipulation. She refused to be silenced. She refused to let her legacy be stolen. And in doing so, she has not only reclaimed her narrative, but also inspired countless others who have faced similar injustices to find their voice. The ripple effect has only just begun.